नमस्कार, गुड इवनिंग इंडिया में आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं हूं आपके साथ सत्यप्रिया। 21वीं शताब्दी का भारत विश्व को एक नई दिशा देने के लिए उद्यत हो रहा है। 21वीं शताब्दी का भारत जहां एक ओर आर्थिक और तकनीकी समृद्धि है, वहीं दूसरी ओर जरूरत है हर भारतवासी को एक ऐसा समाज देने की जहां भौतिक सुविधाओं के साथ साथ उसे वो सभी सुविधाएं मिल सके जो पैसे से नहीं खरीदी जा सकती। एक ऐसा समाज का निर्माण हो सके जहां पारस्परिक सौहार्द हो, जहां बच्चे अपना बचपन जी सके, जहां डर न हो और जहां हर इंसान दूसरे के साथ प्रेम से रह सके। जी हाँ, इस तरह के भारत का निर्माण जहां हम सब के लिए एक लक्ष्य है, वहीं दूसरी ओर एक चुनौती भी है। इसी विषय पर और चर्चा करने के लिए आज हमारे साथ स्टूडियो में मौजूद हैं बेहद खास मेहमान। स्टूडियो में स्वागत करूंगी श्री BP सिंह जी का, जो सिक्किम के पूर्व गवर्नर हैं और साथ ही रचयिता हैं द 21st सेंचुरी जियोपॉलिटिक्स, डेमोक्रेसी एंड पीस के। So we welcome you. So the book 21st Century Geopolitics, Democracy and Peace, penned by you, was released by Honorable Vice President. What was the philosophy behind this book and why did you choose the subject?
I must tell you, this is related to the journey of my mind. In 1995, I became Culture Secretary and I was required to inaugurate seminars and speak on. And one of the seminars which took place in Delhi, this was the theme, that in the changed world what India can do. And this was something which I reflected upon in the context of the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. Earlier the Berlin Wall had fallen, leading to the reunification of the two Germanys. Then Hong Kong was shifted to China and the Cold War had ended. So this was a new world, and I had then articulated that India has a message to give, and that is the message of harmony of civilizations. Now this message, one article was published in New York Times, another was published in Delhi, and I had a very serious scholar calling on me, and he is P. Huntington, the author of the book The Clash of Civilizations.
Right.
And he said that the end of the Cold War will not lead to harmony, but would mean the clash of civilizations. And our experience, civilizational experience from time immemorial, has been that people believing in different religions can live together.
Right.
And I explained to him, and he said, no, this may be true of South Asia, but this is not going to be a global phenomenon. He was right, because I had thought, and then I had articulated, that military of course has become replaced, it was replaced by market as number one factor in determining the status of a country in the Committee of Nations. But culture has emerged as the third factor. And he accepted my theory, but he did not accept that it will lead to harmony. Because we were taught by Mahatma Gandhi and other leaders that, look, India does not hate the Britishers, it hates the colonial system of exploitation. And India's message is of harmony, despite the fact that partition had taken place on religious lines. So this was the book I wrote, India's culture, the state, the arts and beyond. And that led another great scholar to call on me, Fukuyama, who wrote The End of History. So, I had the privilege of interacting with these two great global minds on this theme, but it led to another big crisis. I was then the executive director of the World Bank at Washington DC, and that was 9/11, when the towers fell down in New York and Pentagon was attacked. I was there. And then this was the question, that what is the solution? And this was asked to me in a meeting. What is India's solution? I said, India may have the answer, but I don't have. But when I came back, I worked on it, and this led to another book, and that is name is Bahudha and the post 9/11 world. And I have propounded the Bahudha approach as a means of conflict resolution in the globe.
Right.
And then I was thinking, what are the actual challenges facing the 21st century, a century of our children and grandchildren and the young boys and girls, not only in India, but also all over the world, aspiring to lead a good life. And then I identified problems of building peace, of ecological harmony, of science, spirituality and ways of living, of democracy, of good governance, and the institutions of governance not only in India, but also at the global level, including the UN system, the political architecture and the economic architecture. And I have believed, and I have propounded in this book, that these are the issues which will dominate the 21st century.
Right.
Religious radicalism, poverty and inequality, interplay of ideas, new technologies. So, this is the theme, and I thought I have completed my job as a scholar in putting these three streams, which one upon the other. Sometimes I have wondered, did I write or somebody asked me to write? Because an author grows inside you.
Right. Sir, talking about the Bahudha approach, we as a society, we have always believed in the fact that ekaha sat vipraha bahudha vadanti, that truth is one, but different people say it in different ways. And we have always believed in that. So, the Bahudha approach, how important is it in promoting peace and harmony and to overcome the challenges that we as a nation are facing today?
Let me tell you, we say ekam sat vipra
Bahudha
bahudha
vadanti.
vadanti. The real is one. Sages describe it variously.
Right.
Now, problem I found is in ekam sat. The moment you say one truth, somebody says, my truth is the real truth, my God is the most powerful, my scripture is the best, my folklores, folk tales teach you the best way of living. And that leads to clashes. Clashes are taking place even today. It is taking place even among the believers of the same religion, same God.
Right.
Now, that is where I said that no, the answer lies in Bahudha. Celebrate diversity. And what I did, and that is catching the imagination of people all over the world, including India, that while I am talking to you, I have a point of view, but I also have an attitude of mind to hear you with respect, because you may perhaps be right. If you have that attitude of mind, you can't become a terrorist, you can't kill people, and that is the lesson of India.
Right. We have always believed in the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Yes, I must tell you about that also. You know, I made research while writing the earlier book, Bahudha and the post 9/11 world. Normally, people associate it with Rig Veda or no. This was a statement that was part of common people's conversation. Common people said so. So, you are right, this approach of tolerance, approach of respect for all ways of living, because our sages and saints have taught us different ways, and that is what Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam teaches us, and that is why bahudha approach is very important, not only for resolution of religious problems, but also for secular problems. And this is the main theme which informs the entire book, The 21st Century, that if you want peace, bahudha approach must inform dialogue. We are not saying the world is going to become one. It is not going to be borderless world. Problems will be there.
Right. But then in the 21st century, with all the technological advances that we have made, world is becoming a more and more complex place to live in. And the complexity adds to all the problems that we face today.
We have to realize that increasingly our neighbor is going to be either an atheist, non-believer, or he may be a believer in some other religion than
faith,
and his festivals may be different from our festivals.
Right.
His fountain of peace, mental peace, inner peace may be elsewhere. So we have to realize that. So that complexity, in some way technology is helping us, because you have the information. If you want to know what Christianity tells us for this issue, or Islam tells us for the other issue, you come to know, and that's the help that we have. If you want to know religious places of excellence of any religion, you can get the information. So this is a globalized village where we and they, that distinction has to be one of respect for each other.
But with the society being more and more dependent on technology every day, somewhere we are getting away from nature, from our environment, from ourself and from our being. Is that also responsible for the issues that we see today?
You know, I agree. I have written in this book that technology is not destiny. But while discussing the ecological issues, I have also said we must take full help of technology, because technology gives you information. Take any area, Western Ghat or Eastern Himalayas. You can map the entire region. You know where are the wetlands, which are the problems, how solutions have to be found in the ancestral wisdom, and how technology should help plan things in a proper manner. So this is, I am not against technology. I am saying you must take help. Similarly, you must know that the contractors, those who want to make profit from nature by using nature, also have that information. So it is the challenge before our planners, before our leaders, and that is why I have discussed in this book that democracy, ecology, culture and administration have to move in unity. Because I just give you one concrete example. The other day on your television we saw that how Ganga is being polluted at Kanpur, because the machines were not working, or the machines purifiers were inadequate. Now why? Because we didn't, when we sanctioned these factories, we didn't calculate the cost of nature, that if we pollute Ganga, how it will harm human beings as well as fish, crocodiles and other things which live in water, because drinking water is a big thing. You can't drink water now from Ganga there, because we didn't install those machines. I was also in the Ministry of Environment, and in Barauni refinery, I hail from that area. We insisted, I personally took interest as additional secretary, went there, and the purifier machines, the plant can give you water after purification which you can drink, and then it will go to Ganga. So, the need was something else. You build centers of technology which can give you the latest instruments of purification. So, technology should be used, but technology will not decide. You have to have a political leadership, administrative leadership and technological leadership acting in unison with NGOs, with the scholars to devise a plan of action.
Right, but at the same time, in a century which is basically dominated by pluralist ethos, the educational institutions, various religious institutions also have an equally important role to play in propagating the message of progress and what the progress is in the correct sense.
You are absolutely right, and this is a good question, and I have written at several places that both men and institutions are important, maybe in the realm of religion, education, science, technology, ecology, any realm, or democratic institutions. Institutions are very important, because the institutions mold character, but men are equally important, because they provide the leadership to the institutions. So, this is something which we have to seriously ponder over.
Right.
And that is why I say that the real challenge today is to have leaders with compassion and moral vision in different walks of life on the top, because what happened in the last century, because UK, which was the dominant power, could not tackle Germany, and it led to the World War. So, I am saying that those challenges of geopolitics will remain, but we have to plan in a manner that we can overcome the situation, because from 1945 till now, Cold War era, USA and Soviet Union did not clash. We had this problem of a nuclear warfare taking place in Korean Peninsula or in the United States between North Korea and the United States. That was averted. I mean, that it has been permanently averted, one cannot guarantee.
One cannot guarantee, right.
But it requires that kind of leadership, and this has been secured for the time being, but we have to remain vigilant. So, this is very important, because otherwise we have fascists and demagogues that characterized the last century, in 30s and 40s. Then the dogs of war and conflict will prevail. But my faith and belief in this book is that if we have a dialogue with ourselves, if we go for men and institutions who have that vision, then it will be a peaceful century. The dogs of war and conflict will bark, but will not bite, may occasionally bite, but will not prevail as they did in the last century.
Right. So, on one hand, we have the challenges, which arise out of conflict. On the other hand, we have challenges like malnutrition, we have challenges like natural calamities, and we as a nation have to deal with it.
India, I must say, we have chosen the democratic path. We have the multiplicity of religions, ethnicities, and value systems. We had also the legacy of partition, which is a big cost on our economy. We have problems of being confined to the territory, because we do not have access to the land boundary. So, we have only the sea boundary and the airspace. We have these problems, but despite that we have made formidable progress, and we are lucky that we have a focused leadership not only at the center, but also in several states. And we are marching forward, and we are contributing to a value system which provides for innovation interplay of ideas, and bahudha approach,
Right.
which tells us that we respect those non-believers also, as we respect the believers of different ways of living.
Somewhere deep down inside, we know that the world around us might be really complex, but somewhere inside us, within us, it is actually very, very simple. And once we realize the simplicity, most of the issues are
You are
resolved.
absolutely right, because we complicate the outside
True.
world, and we have to find the solution. The solution will not come from heaven. We can't leave our problems for those divine blessings. We should seek divine blessings, but we have to change ourselves. As Tagore said, we have to reach a stage where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. And so long as India allows creative minds to express themselves freely, so long as India nurtures its institutions and does not allow it to deviate from its grammar, which the Constitution lays down, we will progress, we will march ahead, and we will be an example in South Asia because of the soft power of democracy, not only of culture.
So do you think that the 21st century is the century of India?
21st century is going to be a century of multiple power centers. It is going to be a century of multiple faiths. And since India has provided leadership to that value system, India will be respected in the community of nations.
True.
And to that extent, we can take pride in the 21st century being an Indian century. But we are not going to be a superpower having all the economic and the military strength, as we saw in case of the UK in the last century and the United States since 1945, or emerging China. On that path, I can't make a forecast, but India's respect will rise, because India has a long history that while other empires took the sword and acquired land and territories, India did not. It gave to the world the spirit. So, it was the empire of the spirit. India will have the empire of the spirit, of democracy, of plural value system.
So any message that you would like to give to our viewers?
I want my viewers, my readers of my book to engage themselves with the problems that is facing us and keep that broader value system of India in view, which India teaches to us and to every child in simple living, thinking of high ideals, respect for nature, hear other person's point of view with respect, have a spiritual quest, and that is Indianness, and that Indianness must be pursued in the 21st century as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being here with us on our show.
I thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.